13, the first episode. Your Say is a show dedicated to give way to your say on current events. Our show documents events, sheds light on the perspectives of international figures on them, and gives a regular person, wherever they are, a platform to speak their opinion. In today's edition, we'll be tackling and having a wrap-up to the major and most important events that took place during the year 2012. Let's stay tuned. Today, we will have a wrap-up to the major events that took place in 2012. And first of all, we'll start with the year 2012, and we'll start with January. The final results of the parliamentary elections held November 2011 and January 2012 were announced. Islamic-oriented parties had a large majority of the newly elected People's Assembly, with the Muslim Brotherhood Freedom
has ended. Egyptians have had a lot of ups and downs throughout the year because of political instability. To understand the state Egypt is in now, one must review the path month by month. On January 21st of 2012, Islamist-based parties and movements won a majority of seats in parliament. 4 days later, on the 25th, revolutionaries across the nation marked the first anniversary of the revolution by celebrating in the major squares of Egypt, including Tahrir Square. On the 1st of February, the Port Said disaster happened, where at the football match between Al-Ahli and Port Said, things took a violent turn at the final whistle. Fans charged the field, attacking Al-Ahli supporters, crushing them and physically beating them, killing 72 people. This tragedy led to protests on the 3rd of February that also led to violent clashes between police and protesters. On the 6th, the trial of the suspects and the NGOs for foreign funding and illegal activities starts. On March 17th, the Egypt's Coptic Christian Pope, Shenouda III, dies at the age of 88. Thousands of Egyptians mourn the Pope's passing, and the state declares state of mourning over his passing. On April 17th, 10 presidential candidates are excluded from the electoral race, including controversial figures as Omar Suleiman, ex-spy chief, Khairat al-Shatir Muslim Brotherhood figure, and ultra-conservative Salafist Hazem Salah Abu Ismail. On the 25th, the ban on ex-Prime Minister Ahmed Shafiq from running in the presidential race is overturned. On the 3rd of May, the Supreme Council of Armed Forces, or SCAF, imposes overnight curfew around Abbasiyah following deadly protests over the army's handling of the transitional period. On the 23rd, Egyptians vote in the first presidential elections after the revolution. On the 31st, SCAF lifts the state of emergency. On June 2nd, ousted President Hosni Mubarak is sentenced to life in prison for failing to protect peaceful protesters during the revolution of 2011. On the 14th, the Supreme Constitutional Court rules the validity of Parliament, giving SCAF full legislative authority. On the 24th of June, Islamist candidate Mohamed Morsi wins the Egyptian presidency with 51.73% of the votes. On the 30th, Morsi is sworn in as president at the Supreme Constitutional Court.
President Morsi submitted to a Supreme Court ruling that the parliamentary elections were invalid, after initially ordering Parliament to meet in defiance of a military decree dissolving it in June. In August 2012, new Prime Minister Dr. Hisham Qandil appointed a cabinet nominated by technocrats. Unknown assailants attacked an army outpost in Sinai, killing 16 soldiers in the very sad events over the border with Israel. President Morsi dismissed Defense Minister Tantawi and Chief of Staff Sami Anan and retained authority over legislation and drafting the new constitution. In November 2012, Bishop Tawadros was chosen as the new Pope of Coptic Christians. President Morsi issued a decree containing a number of articles, among which stripping the judiciary of the right to challenge his decisions. The decree was met with angry protests by a number of secular and liberal oppositions. The Constituent Assembly approved a draft constitution. Morsi cancelled the decree on judicial powers in the face of growing protests and kept the referendum on the draft constitution that took place on December the 15th. The referendum was approved by nearly 64% and endorsed. The Shura Council, according to the Constitution, continues to act as the country's only legislative body until the election of a new parliament. Our reporter Riham Morsi filed in the following report on Egyptian reactions to events that took place during the last 6 months of 2001.
On July 14th and 15th, Hillary Clinton meets new president and the Field Marshal Hussein Tantawi. On July 24th, Hisham Qandil is tasked to form a new cabinet. On the 2nd of August, Hisham Qandil and his cabinet are sworn into office. And on the 5th, unidentified gunmen attack a checkpoint on the Egyptian-Israeli border, killing 17 Egyptian army officers and soldiers. This led the army to launch the Operation Eagle on the 7th. On September the 13th, anti-U.S. protests erupt in Egypt and elsewhere in the Arab world against a U.S.-produced film insulting Islam. Around 225 people are reported injured in clashes outside the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. On October 8th, Morsi pardons some revolutionaries arrested in protests in 2011. On the 13th, Morsi attempts to dismiss Prosecutor General Abdelmajid Mahmoud. And on the 28th, Egypt's Copts vote for a new pope. On the 4th of November, Bishop Tawadros II is named the new pope. On the 17th, the bus-train collision took place in Asyut, killing 50 children, and the transportation minister, Rashid Al-Matini, resigns. On the 22nd, Morsi passes a controversial constitutional declaration giving him sweeping administrative and legislative powers and safeguarding his decrees from judicial oversight. He also dismisses the Prosecutor General and appoints a new one. This led to mass protests, the nation demanding the president rescind his powers. On the 2nd of December, judges announced they will not supervise the referendum so long as the constitutional declaration is not rescinded. Islamists also raid the headquarters of the Supreme Constitutional Court to protest against them. On the 15th and 22nd of December, votes on the first and second phase of the referendum on the new constitution start. On the 25th, the referendum results are out with the approval of the constitution with 63.8%. These 12 months of 2012 that were very eventful, full of sadness and political turmoil. All Egyptians can hope for is that 2013 will be less eventful and will lead to political stability. This is Riham Morsi reporting for Nile TV.